And joining us now, she helped Brown, of course, in her first year as head coach there to win the Ivy League Tournament Championship in a historic year, get to the NCAA Regionals, 33 wins on the season. She now enters her second season. And joining us for the first time on In the Circle and D1 Softball, Mary Holt Kelsch, joining us here on In the Circle. That's not a bad first year.
No, I definitely have zero complaints about the first year at Brown. It was a lot of fun. So,
Did it? I mean, it's easy to say, well, it went as planned, but not everything ever goes as planned. Uh, now that you reflect on last year as the taking over the program in your first year, how would you describe last year and what you learned from it taking over coming into the second year?
I think learned that culture is everything. Just giving a place where athletes can be comfortable to work hard and train and just enjoy being around each other really makes a difference. I think to say anything went according to plan is definitely would be a lie. There was definitely a lot of hard work and some ups and downs and stuff, but I think everyone stayed true to what we wanted to do and wanted to turn it around here at Brown. And it was just so awesome to be a part of it and kind of see all of the athletes' hard work pay off in the long run.
When was the moment last season where you felt, hey, we can actually compete here and win this championship? There, because Princeton obviously has had a stranglehold on the regular season title. They got a great team. They were the favorites, but you peaked at the right time towards the end there and knocked them off and won that tournament championship. When was that moment where you felt this team could be pretty special?
I think it was how we responded after we got swept by Dartmouth. That was a tough way to start your Ivy League season for sure. But I think how they came back to practice after that kind of happened and the look in their eyes like we're not dealing with this anymore. Like we want better for this program. They just put their nose down and got to work and we responded well in our next series. So I think just kind of that response from kind of getting kicked a little bit and choosing to work hard and work through it versus complain about it. I was like, I think we got something special here. And I mean, Princeton's tough. I mean, they're a really talented team. I mean, Sweens has done an amazing job at Princeton. But I think for us, it was like, we're just going to stay focused on what we need to do, how we need to work, and how we need to operate from a day-to-day basis.
Take me through that conference championship tournament, and when you get, you realize, wow, we're going to hoist the trophy, and we're going to the NCAA tournament. A big deal where you took over. It's been a few minutes there, let's just say.
Yeah, I mean, the conference tournament was a lot of fun for us. I think we had a senior pitcher who was on a mission to kind of make her stamp on her career in the Ivy League. I think she had always been on the cusp of greatness throughout her time at Brown. And I think that Ivy League tournament, she just flipped a switch and it was fun to watch her compete. And I think everyone around her kind of responded to that. I think it kept us calm through the tournament and I don't know. I was like, well, it's kind of weird for a team who has never been to the Ivy League tournament to be so calm and under control. But it was, I mean, like I said, I think it had to do with what was going on in the circle that weekend.
It's nothing like a lockdown pitcher there. So you win the championship. I would imagine you got together for the selection show. What was that experience like? And then obviously your name pops up, and you get to go up to Lubbock uh, with Texas Tech among others, Washington, Mississippi State. I believe it was. Anyway, a pretty stacked region is my point.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it was a dream come true. I've always, as a coach, like you want to make it to a regional and get to go through that experience. So that was the first time that, as a coach, I got to go through the regional experience and stuff like that. I think for me, the joy the kids had that day, kind of figuring out where we're gonna go and just being around each other and all of that stuff, and watching them kind of go crazy when our name got called. I mean, that's a memory that's gonna last forever for me, for sure.
What do you take from that experience in the regionals now, moving forward as a coach for this program?
I mean, I think it was great for Brown. I think it put us out there. We got some good time with a great ESPN crew. I think for us, it kind of got us realizing like, well, now we want to compete and with some power fours now. We feel like we got a good taste of it, and it was awesome to see how those teams compete and operate and go about their business. So I think it was an incredible learning opportunity for our program. And honestly, I just think it was really great for Brown athletics to kind of get that type of airtime and things like that.
That was the was it? Did you get Mowen, Smith, and Mendoza? Was that the crew that ended up?
Yeah, we got the dream crew.
Wow! So you got the
I
conference
know.
calls, right?
Yeah, it was crazy. That was also an experience in itself.
What is it about your Brown University? I mean, I was talking to you off there. You're the volleyball program is having a really good year under their coach, who I got to meet earlier this year in the fall during their volleyball tournament they played in Orlando. They're in the mix for the Ivy League championship. There's other sports in the mix. Do you sense that they all feed off each other? What's it like for those that may not be aware?
I think for us, women's sports here are really special. I mean, we have a women's soccer program that at one point had won four in a row. Our volleyball team is having a great year. Obviously, you got to experience that. Our field hockey team's on the cusp of making Ivy League tournament. Our women's lacrosse team last year got an NCAA bid. I just think we have a really strong like women's sports community here. I think we are all rooting each other on and kind of feed off of each other and really just want everyone to be successful, like in our little core group of women head coaches. So it's just a really cool place to be as a head coach of a women's sport.
So let's talk about this fall now. What is it like? Because I'm sure that everybody's gotten a pat on the back, and rightfully so, for that historic run, a historic year. But now it's a new year. You lose some key pieces, as we'll talk about. But what's it been like? Been the message to this year's team in the fall here as they get going? And because now you're going to be a target in a lot of ways, especially when you get into Ivy League as the defending champions, and teams now will take more notice.
Yeah, we said that we just have to work harder. I think now you're competing against a little bit of yourself, and then you're competing against teams that are going to come at you a little bit harder than maybe they did in the past. But I think for us, the biggest thing is like we can never shift focus off of what we're doing on a day-to-day basis. That's what we're in control of. So I think we're right now we're competing against ourselves, trying to get to a place where we're training as hard as we possibly can train. Stepping it up a little bit in the weight room. I think that's going to be something we heavily focus on before the spring season hits. And honestly, just really trying to figure out how this group is going to win games because it's going to be different than last year for sure.
Yeah, you lose some big pieces. Obviously, we'll talk about. You have 6 freshmen on the roster, but let's start in the circle, which is where it starts. Alexis, you mentioned your 20-game winner a year ago, graduating. You do return Macy Borowski, won 9 games, but just talk about the pitching staff. You don't replace players like Alexis, but it does create opportunities for others. So tell us about the outlook for the pitching staff.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how Macy steps up this year. She came back. She looks really good. She had a little bit of an injury at the end of last season, so it kind of limited her a little bit. Now she's fully healthy and kind of working really hard in the bullpen. So I'm excited to see how she kind of shines this spring. I'm excited to see how Edie steps up because I think Edie threw pretty well at the end of the season against Princeton. She shut them down a little bit when she came in relief. She shut down Texas Tech when she came down. She came out in relief and did a pretty decent job against Washington. So I think she built some confidence off of those outings, had a really, really good one against Providence at the end of the season. So I'm excited to see how like a little bit more reps and constant innings are going to help her develop. I think our freshman, I'm excited about her too, like a lefty. I think it's just a different look, which is exciting. And then our senior Annie, I'm excited for her to kind of get some more innings this year and definitely step up in a leadership role and things like that.
Do you envision it by a committee approach? Do you see somebody like Macy maybe taking the reins there and then others have certain roles? How do you envision the roles of the pitching staff?
I think that Macy will probably take a strong hold on the staff for sure. And I think the rest will be a little bit by committee. So I think the answer is both. We're going to be a blend. And honestly, you can say that right now and then things can completely change
Sure.
come springtime. But I would say right now it's probably going to be Macy probably getting a good amount of innings and then pitching by committee on the other end of things.
Offensively, you lose. Obviously, you have one of the great hitters last year in Moody, who hit, I mean, read the stats: 425, 15 homers, 42 RBIs. Set a bunch of school records. might go down as one of the, if not the best hitter in school history. I will say that. I won't get you in trouble on that because I know there's some alums that might be listening and might, hey, what about me? So I get that. Point is, she was amazing. You don't replace players, so I'm not going to ask you about replacing that production. But who now does that create opportunities for that may have to step up their game to offset some of that production that you lost? Not just her, you lose other production, in fairness, but she's one of the headliners you're going to get asked about.
Yeah, I mean, obviously her season was incredible. I always have been told by some coaches that I've worked for in the past, when you have a kid who's having a season like that, just sit back, watch, and enjoy it because you don't know when that's ever going to happen again. Um, but she earned every bit of what she accomplished last year. She was one of our hardest workers. So obviously those are some big shoes to fill, but I think it's a good opportunity for us to learn how to become a little bit more balanced as a lineup going into this year. Um, and I think it kind of was a good example to athletes. Like if you work hard, like you can accomplish that too. Like if you put your nose down and do what you're supposed to do, you can get it done too. I think for us, Jazz is probably going to be someone who's going to really need to step up for us. She's a senior this year. Cam is probably going to be another one that really needs to step up for us because I think their power numbers combined could kind of equal out to what Laurel gave us last year. But honestly, I just think we just have to figure out how to put the most balanced lineup together this year and have it coming from a multitude of people versus just one.
More, maybe more balance, maybe deeper lineup as a result of that.
Yeah, that's what the plan is. So I think kind of what I've seen this fall, I think we do have the ability to be a little bit more deeper 1 through 9 than we were last year. Which I think obviously when you have your 3 hole graduating, that's what you kind of need a little bit. But I think overall we'll be a little bit more balanced this year.
On offense that set some school records, by the way. So it's not just one person. I mean, she was a part of it, but it wasn't just her. Who are some of the top hitters that people maybe they didn't follow your team very well? You mentioned some of the names, but what makes them such talented hitters? Because you did have a record-setting offense last year.
I mean, I think for Jazz, I think she's got a good balance of power and speed. And I mean, she did a great job in the leadoff spot for us. I think Laurel doesn't have 42 RBIs unless she's getting on base. I think a quiet person that people didn't necessarily talk about a ton was Casey. Casey kind of worked her way into the lineup throughout the year. She didn't wasn't a starter from the beginning, but she played a super important role in the 2 hole for us last year, especially when we started getting hot. So I'm excited to see how she kind of flourishes this year. And I think last year we had people step up at really important times. Like Alyssa was another one for us, especially in the Harvard series. She really, really exploded. And she was another one who didn't necessarily start from the beginning of the year. And I just think it was a testament to our character that we knew we were about the program first. And if my opportunity came, I did whatever I could to take advantage of it. But I think like that's probably what we're going to have to do again this year.
Do you see your offense being similar? Is there some questions, maybe power production wise, maybe not as many of that? How do you see the identity?
I think we'll be a little bit more balanced power wise. I think we have projections where we're hopeful we'll have like a couple that might be in the like 5 to 10 range home run wise, which will help balance things out. But I think the plan is to run a little bit more this year. I think we have a little bit more speed and athleticism that we probably could have utilized a little bit better last year that we're looking to utilize this year.
Tell us a little about the defenses. Obviously, I know there's competition going on, but how do you envision the defense? I know there's some battles, but certainly the outlook there and some of the players that you think will highlight and anchor the defense.
I've been pretty impressed with our defense this fall. I even think last year our defense was a little bit of our strong suit, and I think it'll continue to be one this year. I think for us, Lily in center field is amazing. She chases everything down. She robbed a couple home runs last year. So she'll be a big piece. I think us growing at the shortstop position is going to be a big thing for us. I really envision Maya kind of taking over there. She hasn't played a ton in her career, but she's super athletic. She's been doing a great job this fall, and I kind of look forward to what she can accomplish at short for us this year. And then we got some youngsters that are still trying to figure it out a little bit, but I think with the work they're doing right now, I think it's going to be kind of tough competition with putting the lineup together, but that's how you want it. That's a good sign for things to come if there's a lot of competition for spots.
How would you describe this freshman class, which is unique because you just got there? This is your second season, so you probably had to get to know some of this freshmen prior to them coming here. So how would you describe this class?
Eager. I think they watched closely what was going on last year, and I think it kind of sparked their work this summer. I still think they're still kind of getting used to the dynamic and everything like that. But I mean, this class works hard. They want it bad. They're pushing the upperclassmen in the weight room. They're pushing them in hitting sessions. So all things are pointing in the right direction with that class.
Who are some of the standouts that might, you think might contribute big to this year, even though they're just freshmen? I mean, it's obviously their own pace in development, but some might immediately make an impact right away. Some of them might be more of a developmental. How would you see so what's kind of the outlook from some of those players?
I mean, I think our lefty pitcher Jordan's obviously going to make an impact. She's been doing some great work in bullpen. I've liked how she's worked in games and stuff that we've played this fall. Um, Olivia Sykes, she her swings in games this fall have just been fun to watch, like fearless. When you have a freshman get in the box, not afraid to come unglued, that's a good sign. And she worked super hard, so I'm excited to see kind of what role she'll find herself in this spring. And then we have another kid, we call her KP. She's a middle infielder, and I mean, I think every time she was up this fall, she got a hit. It was kind of crazy. We're like, what she get out? So it's just been fun to kind of watch them and learn how they compete. I think that's more so what I pay attention to from like the freshmen when they first come in. How are they going to compete? How do they react when things get a little bit tough? And they've been doing a really great job. So it's been fun to watch them kind of grow over the past semester.
Do you have established leaders already, or is that still evolving?
I think it's still evolving a little bit. I think we have people who have stepped up in certain opportunities and kind of really helped the team grow and things like that. But I still think we're just waiting for that one or two people to really stand out in the room and take control of that locker room.
Let's talk about you and kind of your vision. You're a Rhode Island. You've been coaching at Rhode Island in that region for a little while. What was it that drew you to come to Brown?
Well, I grew up in Providence, so being able to coach in Providence was nice for sure. I think for me, with the temperature of Division One athletics, I think the Ivy League really stays true to the student athlete experience. Um, and I just think it was like a really good opportunity to kind of have the mid-major like competitiveness, but still let these kids be students and kind of be around people who are way smarter than I am. That's also really awesome. Just listening to like all the cool things that they do off the field is incredible. But for me, like the home piece is super important to me. Just having the family around and getting to experience this is a dream come true.
Was it everything you thought, or did you even learn more than you thought? What did you learn big from being in the Ivy League there for the first year?
You know, I think for me, I learned like how close knit the Ivy League actually is from a coaching standpoint. I it's just also incredible just like the kids you get to coach and like the stuff that they're studying and the internships that they have like that it's just crazy. I'm like I would never even think to do that when I was like a college athlete. And I think what I learned is like these kids can handle a lot. Like they are doing internships, they're doing research, they're doing a full Division One load, and they're doing it and thriving. It's really inspirational to be in this league for sure.
How were you able to get the players to buy into you when you got there right away, as you did? Because as I mentioned, I spoke to obviously your Browns volleyball coach Taylor Vertru, who is very young, like you are, as a head coach. But she was an assistant, so the players were familiar with her. She took over, and so that was an easier transition. Whereas you're coming out from the outside, what was that kind of like getting them to buy into your your system, and your vision?
I think for me, the first week I was around them and we had our first team meeting, I sat them down and had the staff leave the room and I said, I want you guys to sit here and talk about what you want Brown softball to become. And we're going to give you time to talk it out and really just work with each other. And when you're ready, we'll come back in the room. And I just really wholeheartedly want to hear everything you ever dream of being able to talk about Brown, what you want to accomplish while you're here, and all of that stuff. And I think that meeting really got us all together. Like we actually collaborated on what we wanted the culture to be. And I think it really allowed them to have a big piece in the movement we were going to make forward. Like they felt like they helped build this. And I think anything you feel like you helped build, you're going to invest in that much more. And I think from that day on, they knew that this was going to be about making this program the best it possibly could be. And that was going to be in the forefront of our mind in any rep, anytime we were in the weight room, any sprint we did, like making Brown softball the best it possibly could be was our goal.
And I'd say they bought in, winning a championship. You realize that's not how it's supposed to be. Is first year head coach, you're supposed to build it up to. Now you've already won the you put more pressure on yourself. Now everybody's going to compare. I mean, it's a good problem to have, but that's it's pretty remarkable there.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have said that you're not supposed to do it that way, but I think champions never do it the way you're supposed to do it. They
Sure.
find their way to get to the top. And I think I was just very much blessed with a great group of human beings in a room. Good people make good things happen. And I've said that from the beginning of my career to now, that like I said, good people are going to make good things happen because it's enjoyable. You want to work hard for those around you, and you can't imagine doing anything else. I think that's where we got to last year, and that's where we currently are right now. And I think if we can kind of sustain that, I think we're going to have a really bright future in this program.
How did you get into softball? I know you were played. Just take me through your journey in softball.
Well, as a coach or as a player, or the
Let's
whole
start with
thing?
you as a player, then because that's going to transition to how you got into coaching.
Yeah, so I mean, played Little League softball in Providence. I think I started playing Little League because my uncle told my dad that he was signing up my cousins for baseball. So I just got dragged along. So, and the rest is history there. So my uncle will tell you he is the reason that I'm sitting in this seat right now, because if he didn't tell my dad to sign me up for Mount Pleasant Little League, none of this would have happened. Um, but my like from a recruiting standpoint, I actually pitched. I thought I was going to pitch at the Division 1 level. That did not happen. My recruiting process was a little bit late. I think I committed to Kent 1 week before the signing period. Coach kind of found me on a random field in Florida. She called me and said, "Hey, this is Coach Linder from Kent." And I said, "Where's that?" That was my response. Apparently it was in Ohio. And then the next thing I knew was on a flight to Ohio to do my official visit, and fell in love with everything Coach had talked about, what program they had built at Kent, and honestly it was the best 4 years of my life. I learned a lot from Coach. I still call her all the time if I need anything, even from a coaching standpoint. Um, During my time at Kent, my travel ball coach actually passed away my junior year of college, and they didn't have anybody to coach the travel ball team that summer. So I decided that I would take over the travel ball team that I played for. And after that summer, I was like, well, I think I want to coach. This was fun, like just training girls, practices, and things like that. I really enjoyed it, and coached them for a couple years. And then one of the assistants at Kent, who's now the head coach at Robert Morris, he got the job at Lafayette College, and he called me and said, "Hey, do you want to come be my assistant for no money?" And I said, "Great, that sounds like exactly what I want to do." So I went down to Lafayette College and started working for Jex Varner, and the rest is history. So
Wow, that's an interesting journey there. Did you ever imagine being a head coach?
Um, no. I thought I would just be like the cool assistant that would just get to train kids all the time. And it's actually funny. So we just hired a new baseball coach here at Brown. His name is Frank Holbrook. So Frank Holbrook is actually the reason I became a head coach. So he was the head coach at Rhode Island College, where I was at right before Brown, and they lost their coach left in like February, and he messaged me on Twitter and said, "Hey, are you interested in taking over a program?" And I said, I don't know. I don't know if I really want to get back into college coaching because I was like on a year break." And he goes, "No, no, it'll be great. Just come here and see campus and do it." And I said, all right, fine, I'll go talk to the AD. And then I took the job at Rick, and then intern got he got the job here. So now we're back coaching together.
Wow, that's a full circle.
Yeah, coaching usually is, I feel like.
That's pretty well. I would imagine you told them, all right, we're even now. We're good, right?
Yeah, he said that we're more than even with him getting the Brown job this past summer. So
That's funny. That's amazing. That's a great story. There's a small circle world there. Let's talk about your staff then. Tell us a little bit about your staff and then the roles that you all have and your style of coaching. As far as, do you delegate a lot? What you like to have your hands on and things like that with your staff.
yeah, so I would definitely say the best staff in the country, I think. I have my associate head coach who just got bumped up to associate coach this year, Wally King. He works with our hitters and works a lot with the infielders and stuff like that. He's amazing. The girls love him. He's really taken a major role in our player development, which I think was a big piece to the success that we had last year. And then I got Coach Fonz. Coach Fonz was with me at Rick for 2 years and then came over to Brown with me last year. He's awesome too. Obviously, I think highly of him if I took him from one place to another. He works with our outfielders, helps with the catching and team defensive stuff with Coach King. I am the one who's in the bullpen working with those pitchers and having a blast. So I kind of like to oversee everything. Like I like to be at all the sessions. I kind of see what everyone's doing, how everyone's developing, but kind of let them go through the development they see fit for their roles. And I mean, I think they do a great job. They take feedback awesome. Like we have great conversations about where we need to go and what particular people need to do what. So, I mean, I think we just work well together as a staff. It's a good dynamic. We balance each other well. And I couldn't imagine working with anybody else than the people that I have on this staff.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Wally King, I know he's coached at a lot of different places and a lot of different experiences there with Coach King there. Ivy League softball. I don't know if people would realize how good the league is. Last year was the 15th best conference in college softballs, as high as the Ivy League has been in years. You got to experience it for the first time. Just describe for those that may not maybe follow it as closely. Ivy League, I mean, the exposure has gotten better. You're on ESPN Plus. Football, for example, it's on Friday nights on ESPN with another Eric Freed, who calls softball, usually is the voice of the Ivy League football with Jack Ford. Everybody knows about basketball and some of the success the Ivy League has had over the years in the NCAA tournament, but I feel like it's coming up there in softball as well. And last year, with Princeton a couple years ago, winning a couple games in the NCAA tournament, etc. Describe the Ivy League for those that not be aware and the outlook for this year, because again, you were a top 15 league last year, ahead of some leagues that people might be surprised that that you were ahead of.
I mean, I think we're a really evenly matched league. There is zero Ivy League series that is easy. Like you don't go into any of the series going, yeah, this is a shoe-in. Like you have to go in like you're playing the best every single weekend. So I guess that would be a testament to why we might be a little bit higher than some people think. There is no off series. Every series has to be treated like an Ivy League championship series. And it makes it really fun and enjoyable because you're going in and you're going to be competing your butt off day in and day out in a series. So, I mean, I love it. I think a close matched league is a lot of fun because one game, one weekend can really shift a whole picture of how the league looks. I mean, I think we're the prime example of that. We started 0-3 and then ended up sneaking into the 4. So there's a lot of parity in our conference. Anyone can beat anyone, and every series has a lot of weight to carry with it.
Your team's going to get a lot of attention as the defending champions. Princeton will get a lot of attention for the success that they've had. But give me some other schools to watch out for, because you mentioned it. It's hard enough just getting into the Ivy League tournament. As you mentioned, I believe it's still a 14 tournament. Is that correct?
It is a 4-team, yes.
And it goes to whoever wins the regular season title, which is the thing that people may not realize. You beat Princeton at their place. to get earn that automatic bid and get that championship. So talk about some of the other programs that people maybe because they could be also in that mix this year is going to be going after that championship. Because again, I agree with you. It is a balanced league. I remember following it just from a bracketology standpoint, and it was hard to figure out like, all right, who's getting into the Ivy League tournament at times.
I mean, I think you could talk about everybody in the league, honestly. Cornell swings it really, really well. Yale typically plays really good defense and runs really well. Harvard, I think, is one of the most balanced teams in the league. I think they do everything really well from pitching, defense to hitting. I think Harvard had some of the scariest hitters to try to pitch call against. I think Princeton is extremely well coached. They have really good players. They have really good pitching. I think Dartmouth, obviously, they're scary. I mean, they swept us, so they're really good. Their pitching is scary because if their pitching's hot, they are trouble. Trying to think, who did I miss? I mean, even Penn, I know their like success on paper doesn't look great, but I mean, they battled us. That was a tough series for us as well. Like we had to really, really hone in to make sure we were hitting to keep us ahead of them and things. But I think, like I said, if I missed anyone in the Ivy League, I'm really, really sorry. It's not intentional, but I think every single team needs to be talked about who's going to be tough. That anyone can kind of roll that league, I think.
With that in mind, what's your philosophy from a non-conference scheduling to get your players ready for conference?
Yeah, I think this year we're going a little bit stronger with our schedule. So we're opening up at Texas State, and I think we actually get the Pokes. So we're going right into we're going right into the thick of it. But I think if we kind of put ourselves in the pressure cooker a little bit earlier, I think we'll respond to Ivy League coming around a little bit quicker because I wouldn't want to start 0-3 again. That's not necessarily in the plan this year. So
Yeah, you don't want to dig yourself a hole,
no.
make a habit out of that. Describe it. You're coaching student athletes on the field who are also competing in the highest form of academics, which that alone adds to stress, pressure, just without even playing sports. But these young ladies decide to play sports along that. What is that like as a coach? Because there is, hey, academics is important. You got to go to class. There's midterms. There's a lot of stress. So how do you balance that with what they have to do where academics is so important, but at the same time, hey, let's get the job done on the field as well. But there's a balancing act there that you have to balance as a coach to make sure that the student athlete doesn't have too much to carry on.
Yeah, I think we start well, I say every year. This is year two. We've started each year by kind of saying this, like, you're the 1% that's playing Division I softball. You are 5% of the people who get into Brown. And this year we said you were one of 64 to compete in the NCAA tournament. Like, you just owe it to yourself to really take advantage of any opportunity you have in any facet of that life, right? And I think that really like sits with them that they know like, hey, when I'm a student, I'm gonna be the best student I possibly can be. And when I transition and walk over to the athletic side of campus, I'm gonna be the best athlete I possibly can be. And when both of those days are done, the most important piece for our program, I'm gonna be the best family member I can be once my days are done, right? I think like just learning that balance for them has really made us successful, and it kind of takes the stress a little bit down. Obviously, their lives are very stressful. There's a lot of rigor that they have to deal with on both sides of academic and athletics, but I think we just always bring them back to remember like you're a person first, and that's the most important. And then just attack each opportunity with everything you got, and you're going to be in a pretty good spot.
How much do you depend on feedback from your own players from that standpoint? Like maybe if a player comes up to you or something like, "Hey, coach, listen, can we get like we're kind of midterms, or I'm going through this, or etc." How much is communication a key in that all that?
I mean, they communicate a lot. Like for example, today could give you an example. We had a pitcher who had Orgo 2 midterm and a physiology midterm today, right? And she goes, Coach, I think I might need to move my bullpen to another day. Perfect. Sounds good. Go kill those two exams. Come back tomorrow with a fresh brain, and we'll attack the bullpen tomorrow. No big deal. Because I think too, like you can't force like obviously there are sometimes like you just have to do the softball side of things, especially more so in the spring. Like our fall rules are really different than our spring rules. But with that, like if you're gonna be at like 5% in the bullpen, like we're not gonna get better today if you're worried about your orgo two and your physiology. Like go do that, go be the best you can in that side of things, and then we'll attack tomorrow the best way we possibly can attack it.
Yeah, you have to be able to adapt as a coach because you're right. The mind, it's all mental there. If your mind is thinking about the exam, why force the kid? And again, we're not saying that this doesn't happen at other places, but it is unique at places like Brown where it is like the most. I mean, it's one of the best universities, literally, from an academic standpoint. So, as a coach, that did you know that? Was that something you had to learn, or did you kind of know going in that hey, I got to be able to adapt because these players have a lot on their plate from that standpoint. So it's not, maybe we don't just necessarily script every practice or things like that.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me was talking to my sport admin when I first got hired and saying, "Hey, what's like the most important things that I need to know?" And she said, "When midterms are." And I said, "Okay, when midterms are." Perfect. So I think for us, like the kids will let us know. They text, they say, "Hey coach, FYI, 3 midterms this week." And you're like, "Okay, so when you're tired at practice, I understand why." Um,
Yeah. Yeah, they don't. It's very legit. Although I know I've talked to some of the Ivy League players. They love to compete. Don't be fooled by that. They want to be everywhere on the field. So if they say, "Hey, I got a lot going on in class," it's legit. It's not like they're getting out of there. I'll let you go on this as you continue to learn this group in the fall, and then before you know it, you'll get to spring. What are some questions or things you're looking forward to finding out about this team that you think will help determine how the 2026 season goes?
I think just answering some questions in the circle about some of the consistency pieces that we need to kind of fill. Um, Learning how we're going to operate more as a staff versus being so reliant on one arm. So I think those are some questions that we're going to try to figure out the answers to. And then kind of overall, what does the balance of our lineup look like? Are we going to be more so like balance power in the middle, some speed on the bookends? Are we going to be matchup based, like where a certain hitter is hitting on a day because the pitching matchup's better, or things like that? And honestly, who's going to compete the hardest to win the jobs?
Should be intriguing to see how that goes. That's Brown head coach Mary Holt Kelsch joining us here on In the Circle on D1 Softball, powered by 643. Coach, good to meet you. Congrats on the championship last year and the success. Good luck this year. Look forward to following your program. Hope to get you on again down the road. But in the meantime, thanks for taking the time to talk to us here on In the Circle on D1 Softball.
Thanks for having me.